Welcome back to the Film School Dropout. I'm your host, Jordan, and today I just have one question for you. What's your personal philosophy? It might seem like a heavy question, and it's a question that one of my friends asked me whenever I told him that I want to start writing. The initial drafts of my writing were very like what I think a situation should be like, or like trying to recreate moments that I've seen in other movies, and they were fine, but him asking me what my personal philosophy was a really interesting question that opened up a dialogue for us, for me to understand like what is the thing that's driving my writing. Because when you are making anything, whether it's a business, a video, or a script, it should come from a place of authenticity and a place of you expressing yourself, and like yourself, not what you think should be created, or what you think something should look like, but just you, and a reflection of what's going on in your world and how you want to express that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Just casual existential questions. I've been reading this book called Writing, Creativity, and Soul by Susan Monk Kidd. She's the original writer of The Secret Life of Bees. And I'm still early into the book because if you know me, I don't really read like that. But I'm trying to start because, I'm a grown up and I'm sophisticated. I read, But I think that there's a few things in this book that have been interesting to me, that go in line with what we're chatting about today. So I'm just going to read a few lines. So this part says, "We all possess an inner reservoir of unique and evocative images, dreams, intuitions, feelings, attachments, memories, experiences, longings, fascinations, metaphors, symbols, collective archetypes, and capacities for wonder and imagination." C.G. Jung poetically referred to this as the interior realm. C.G. Jung poetically referred to this interior realm as the inscrutable old country, the hinterland of the mind. It's where the soul lives and plays and has its being. And then it skips, I'm going to skip some parts, and then it says, "If you encounter writing infused with soul, you know it. It feeds you somewhere inside. Such writing can open your eyes and your heart, re-enchant your world, or rearrange how you see it. It can return you to yourself. But revelations from the mysterious hinterland are unpredictable. Their appearance can't be coerced or controlled. It's hard, for instance, to manufacture an image from the unconscious or fabricate a creative aha moment." And there's a parallel here to another writer's observation. "I cannot cause light. The most I can do is try to put myself in the path of its beam." So it says, "We may not be able to force the psyche to offer up its creative wonders, but no doubt the soul wishes to reveal itself." So like, I was like, wow, this book is going to be tea. So in other parts of the book, Sue discusses how everyone is creative, how we all have the capacity within us, which is, things that I've said before. So that's the cool thing about reading. You read things, you're like, oh wow, yeah, someone experienced this too. I mean, it's the same thing with movies. You see yourself in different stories, and that's the beauty of it all. And now relating this back to the excerpt that I just read, it spoke about really capturing strong writing, or like a really good movie is difficult. It's not something that everybody can just up and do because it's very hard, it's challenging. But something that I think can get you closer to uncovering that is being aware of what your personal philosophy is. So interestingly enough, I took a class last year called Managing with Purpose. And in the class, we talked about our principles of practice. And the principles of practice were supposed to be a set of guidelines that you as a manager use as, in a way, your 10 commandments of you at work, or essentially your guidelines to how you approach work, but it can differ from person to person. So for example, one might be like work hard, play hard, or another one might be like treat employees like family. One might be address conflict quickly. Things like that are sort of like these standards that you set for yourself in the workplace. So when my friend originally asked me what my personal philosophy is, I had never thought of it before. The closest thing that I had really thought of it was these principles of practice. And I was like starting to put some of these ways of living that I think make sense. And he was like, that's not quite it. Like, you should be able to explain what your personal philosophy is in like one sentence. How do you see the world type of thing. So he asked me like how I see the world, and I started going on this long tangent of this butterfly effect and big web of all these interactions and like a big mosaic type of thing. And he was like, okay, that's cool, but like your personal philosophy is more of what is the core and central belief that drives how you interact with the world. So he kept rephrasing it for me so I could get to what my personal philosophy is. One of the first things I said was just like, embrace life, you know, embrace the good, embrace the bad, embrace it all, like let it wash over you like a wave. And he was like, you know, that's close. But we just kept talking, and what I realized is that my personal philosophy is more like control what you can control, which is essentially the same thing, but it puts me in the driver's seat, and it helps inform what is some of the underlying message in what I'm trying to say through my writing. That is what comes up to the surface every time. Or even when it comes to my creative studio, the mission for that is to like bring more color into the world, so people know if they're booking me for something, it's going to look like color, texture, layers, bringing in more brightness. I've never been a minimalist. That's not one of my like personal philosophies. So that exercise was interesting, and I bring it up because in today's day and age, we're all moving so fast. We aren't spending as much time with ourselves and our thoughts and our interior worlds as we could. And as I've been on this journey of writing and revisiting drafts and challenging myself and critiquing my work, it's been very interesting. And I'm like, this process is so transferable to many different things, whether it's writing that you're doing for professional work or just thinking about business ideas that you have, or just getting more comfortable expressing yourself in general and getting more comfortable with yourself. There's a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself as a writer that are very helpful for you to understand yourself as a person, understand how you view your position in the world and what you want to do with that. How do you want to express that and bring that forth, whether it's through music, film, photography, whether it's through commerce, product development. There's so many ways that asking yourself more of those deep questions about your personal belief system and how you see yourself can show up. And it's something that I'm someone that considers myself a pretty inquisitive person, like somebody who spends a lot of time with their thoughts, but it's gone to another level through this writing. And even in the book, it is putting words to things that I have not been able to. as I'm going through this process. So short and sweet episode today, but the challenge is to consider what your personal philosophy is. Other examples might be like, for example, one of Maya Angelou's, one of her personal philosophies were when people show you who they are, believe them. So you can look through some of her work and see how that shows up. Einstein said, imagination is everything. Nelson Mandela said, I never lose, I either win or learn. Walt Disney said, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So some of these are interesting. Some of them skew a little bit more motivational, which is fine, but there's other ways to consider what your personal philosophy is. When I was talking with a cousin of mine, they were big on ritual and like establishing ritual for themselves, and that was part of their personal philosophy and like sort of the family philosophy that was created. So there's all kinds of ways that you can sort of explore and define what your personal philosophy is, but if you've never considered it before, it's something interesting to do to help ground yourself in the way that you see the world, and you might not even realize what the personal philosophy that you have is what you have. So spending time sitting with that is really valuable. And I relate it back to the principles of practice that we learned about in my management class, because it's not just for somebody that is trying to write or trying to work in a creative industry. It's relevant in all spaces because it helps you consider with intent, like, how do I want to show up? What's the things that are driving me like subconsciously? And it's interesting to think about. So those are my notes from today. I recommend this book. I'm still like early into it, but I'm gonna keep reading it. Maybe I'll have more notes and stuff for you guys. So yeah, thanks for listening to the Film School Dropout, guys. We'll be back soon and hope you have a great week. Bye.